Okay, my name is Bill Allitt. I'm here at the 140th Deniliquin Show, and I'd like to introduce David Landini. Now, David Landini is part of the Riverina Estate, so if you'd like to, David, you're promoting Riverina Estate. Would you like to tell me why or what that's about?
Yeah, Bill, I certainly would, and it's great to be here at the Deniliquin Show. It's a great show, and it's a great day. We've had a bit of rain beforehand, and it's absolutely fantastic, Bill, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a great show, great display, and I can't speak highly enough of it.
Okay. David, why are you so passionate about setting up the Riverina Estate?
Yep. What the Riverina Estate is, Bill, is a state of the Riverina separate from New South Wales. It's a whole new state of Australia. At the moment, the Riverina is part of New South Wales, but this movement is to separate the Riverina from New South Wales and govern the Riverina as its own state in its own right by the people that live in the Riverina.
Now, David, why do you think that's important?
It's very important, Bill, because at the moment the people in the Riverina are really suffering under a number of issues that have been brought on by the New South Wales state government. Now, most obviously there's the water issue, and I think most people in the Riverina are familiar with the water issue. We're in the Murray irrigation area, for example. Now, there's been no water available for farmers for 2 years in a row. And we're coming to the third season, and it looks like there'll be no water for farmers for the third season in a row again. Now, we might say, well, it's a drought and that happens, but in actual fact, there's not a drought, Phil. There's actually plenty of water in the rivers in the Hume Weir and Dartmouth, and also in Burrinjuck on the Murrumbidgee system. And if you go and look at the rivers, the Edward River, Murray River, or any of these rivers, you'll see that they're half to 2/3 full, and quite a lot of water flowing down those rivers into South Australia, and nearly unbelievably, it actually flows out to sea in South Australia. So we have big problems with water, but there's also the timber industry. There are huge issues with timber industry in the timber industry where state forests on state property have been declared national parks, for example, and we have a local one in the Thowra, which was a state forest, 100,000 hectares, which has been for sustainable for 150 years. They dig compartments. They don't go and clear fell, they just dig compartments every 30 years. And that industry was just shut down. It was, the middle of forest was declared a national park, and all the forestry workers were just taken out. Now, that was a $100 million a year industry, Phil. $100 million per year of wages, jobs, and the livelihood of people in this area just closed. Now, that wasn't closed by us, that was closed by the New South Wales state government. So, we've got really bad decisions that come out of New South Wales that do not suit the people in the Riverina. And in my opinion, we have to separate to form our own Riverina state, Bill.
Okay, David, you don't think the feds had anything to do with locking up the forest? I thought initially it was to do with the Labor Party back in after 2010 when they put pressure on the New South Wales state government.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deceptive name, National Park, Bill. National implies that it's actually a federal government responsibility, but in actual fact, it's a national park, but all national parks are under the jurisdiction of the states. So it's actually a slightly deceptive term, but the federal government wasn't involved. But at the time, in 2010, for example, the Labor government at the time had an arrangement with the Greens, the political party, the Greens, to exchange second preferences or list each other as their second preference on the voting ballot. But the cost for the Labor Party to get the Greens to put the Labor Party as their second preference was that the Greens demanded that they have a Red Gum National Park. And the forest at the Thowra was turned into a national park, and all the forestry workers lost their jobs because the Labor Party, mainly in Sydney, did a deal with the Greens, mainly in Sydney, and the people out here lost their jobs.
David, one of the things that I've heard anecdotally lately is that because of the way that the Forestry Department or whoever the Murray-Darling Basin party mob are, they are now actually reversing how natural flows go. So once upon a time it would rain, the water would run down the river and they would grow. Now we've just gone through a shocking drought, but there's all that water going down the river allegedly as environmental flows, which in real terms there would not be environmental flows. So and apparently that's messed up the forest. They tell me the forest has turned into a jungle.
Yep.
There's lots of weeds and everything going in there because there's no animals, there's no logging, there's no cattle or anything in the forest. This is part of your manifesto.
It's that's one of the reasons why, Bill. And just on that particular issue, with flows that are not part of the natural flow regime or system, the irrigators from Southern Riverina Irrigators, which is a irrigator group with 1,800 members, have actually taken the Murray-Darling Basin Authority to court with a $750 million class action against the MDBA because these out-of-season flows, which have caused damage to a lot of the environment, contrary to the rules of the MDBA, or allegedly, of course. But in the meantime, the irrigators got no water because that water was squandered by various ways. So the Southern Riverina Irrigators have actually taken them to court with a $750 million court action, and that's in progress at the moment. So that will be very interesting, Bill.
Oh, definitely, David. Now, David, how are you going to go about? Obviously, you're one man. Do you have a committee or anything behind you, or you're just at the moment you're just grassroots with a lot of passion? It's
grassroots at the moment, Bill, but I can assure you there's a lot of support for this. Absolutely. Because what we have to understand is that in the Riverina or in New South Wales, there are only 8 electorates, 8 members of Parliament west of the Great Dividing Range. There are only 398,000 voters west of the Great Dividing Range. Now, in the 2019 state election, 435,000 people in New South Wales voted for the Greens. Now, the Greens are officially opposed to irrigation, forestry and all natural resource-based industries. Now, we have to understand that there are more Green voters in New South Wales than there are voters west of the Great Dividing Range. Now, we have seen over the last 8 years that with the water not available and even with the forestry issue that we just discussed, all the facts and figures are put by very, very knowledgeable farmers and timber workers and so forth to prove that the claims of the state government are actually not true at all, or the MDBA, that they're actually not true. You don't have to remove that water for productive use. But these arguments and these claims and these points have not made any difference politically. So, to me, it occurred to me a little while ago that this dispute, the water issue, the timber issue, is not actually based on facts and figures and who's right and who's wrong. But if you look at the numbers in New South Wales and the politics in New South Wales, and the fact that a government in New South Wales has to appeal to green-orientated voters simply because there are 435,000 of them, and the other fact that of the 93 electorates in New South Wales, 71 of them are in Newcastle, Sydney and Wollongong, and 22 are in the remainder of the state. Over 3/4 of the members of Parliament are from Newcastle, Sydney and Wollongong.
Okay, so David, we're talking about, so how do you want to go ahead with this? You mentioned earlier that you've had several town meetings. I think you said 2 in Denny, 1 in...
Two in Barham.
2 in Barham,
1 in Hay.
And 1 in Hay. So what is your next plan?
The plan is, Bill, it's surprising that it's very, very, very simple to form another state in Australia. The only legal requirement to form another state is the consent of the Parliament of the existing state. So to form a Riverina state only requires one legality, and that's the consent of the Parliament of New South Wales. So to get the consent of the Parliament of New South Wales, which is required, which on the surface may appear to be pretty big, but what would be a very, very compelling argument is a referendum of the people in the Riverina on whether to form a Riverina state or to remain part of New South Wales. So at the moment it's a grassroots building exercise, but the preliminary objective is to have a referendum of the people in the Riverina, not the whole of the state, just the Riverina, probably in conjunction with council elections or a state government election or a federal government election. That referendum will carry. That simply will carry. We won't have a referendum unless it will carry. That referendum will carry. That will compel the the Parliament of New South Wales to consent to the formation of a Riverina state.
All All right, David. Well, that sounds fairly good. You obviously this is going on Facebook. I think you mentioned earlier, and you also you have a website.
Website, yep.
So if anybody wants to contact you, do they do it through Facebook?
Yep. There's the Riverina State has a website which is the Riverina State, all one word, .com.au, and the Facebook page is the Riverina State. So obviously you will see this interview on one of those pages.
We hope. Okay. Yeah. Well, look, I wish you luck. I think it's going to be hard, and you obviously need to get some support.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing. This is why we're looking for people out on the Facebook or in the area that are passionate or can see that this here could be the answer to New South Wales country.
Yep.
This has been talked about, I think, since Federation.
Oh, it has.
And there's another opportunity, if you feel passionate about it, to get in touch with David through his Facebook page.
Yep.
And let him know that you support him, and you can go from there.
We'll all get together and we'll get the numbers together, Bill.
Okay.
And it will work.
All right. Well done, David, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bill.